By the middle of the 19th century, Manchester had become something entirely new and unprecedented in the long arc of human history. A city built not around the traditions of the past, the divine right of kings, or the quiet cycles of agriculture, but entirely around the relentless, mechanical, and uncompromising logic of mass production, earning its global title as Cottonopolis, the epicenter of the world's textile trade. The skyline was no longer defined by the gentle, protective spires of medieval faith, or the ancient stone towers of local nobility, but by hundreds of towering, soot-stained brick mill chimneys that exhaled a thick, suffocating and permanent veil of black coal smoke, so dense and pervasive that it hung in the air like an eternal grey storm, often turning the midday sun into a pale, ghostly orb that struggled to cast even a faint shadow across the grime-coated streets below. In this extraordinarily detailed AI reconstruction, we utilize advanced neural networks and deep learning algorithms to resurrect the industrial heart of the 1850s, moving with cinematic precision through its smoke-filled alleys and thunderous factories to capture the visceral, raw atmosphere of a city that was as technologically awe-inspiring as it was socially and physically devastating for the people who powered it. Our journey begins at the heart of Manchester's power. The massive, fortress-like cotton mills of Ancoats, Chorlton, and Salford, where the interior was an overwhelming sensory assault of deafening, constant noise as power looms clattered, spinning frames whirred, and steam engines hissed at such speeds that conversation became an impossible luxury, forcing workers to communicate through a unique system of lip-reading and hand signals developed in the shadows of the machine. Imagine stepping into one of these 5-story brick giants, feeling the very wooden floors vibrate under your feet with the rhythmic thrum of a massive Watt steam engine, and breathing in air that was a stifling, humid fog of floating cotton lint and coal dust, kept deliberately warm to prevent the thread from snapping, but creating a literal graveyard for the lungs of thousands of men, women, and children who spent 14 grueling hours a day as living, breathing appendages to the iron machinery. We see the scavenger children, some as young as 6 or 7, crawling with terrifying agility beneath the moving iron gears and flying shuttles to collect loose cotton fibers from the oily floors. Their lives dictated not by the rising sun or the changing seasons, but by the sharp, metallic, and unforgiving ring of the factory bell that controlled every second of their existence. From the moment they woke in the dark to the moment they were finally released back into the soot-filled night. Beyond the factory walls, the AI reconstructs the overcrowded, damp, and labyrinthine slums of Little Ireland and Angel Meadow, districts so wretched that they were described by contemporary observers as the hell of all hells, where the density was so extreme that multiple families lived in single-room cellars without light or ventilation, and where the River Irwell ran pitch black with chemical dyes, grease, and industrial waste, a dead and stinking waterway that served as a grim, liquid testament to the absolute cost of unregulated progress and the pursuit of profit above all else. Yet, amidst this darkness, disease, and grime, Manchester was the undisputed nerve center of a vast, global system of trade and exploitation. Raw cotton arrived from the enslaved plantations of the American South, was processed in these blackened mills by the labor of the working class, and was then exported via the massive, innovative network of the Bridgewater Canal and the Liverpool and Manchester Railway to every corner of the British Empire, from India to Australia, creating a level of private wealth that founded grand banks, prestigious libraries, and neoclassical halls of commerce that still stand today. We see the stark, widening class divide described by Friedrich Engels in his seminal works, where wealthy merchants lived in lush, green, gated suburbs far from the reach of the smoke, while the laboring classes were confined to the shadows of the mills, creating a social tension that would later give birth to the modern labor movement, the rise of powerful trade unions, and the historic cry for universal suffrage and political reform that began with the Peterloo Massacre and ended with the transformation of British democracy. This era also saw the birth of the Manchester School of Economics, promoting the radical ideas of free trade and laissez-faire capitalism, while simultaneously harboring the radical thinkers and socialist philosophers who would eventually challenge the very system they lived in, making the city the intellectual battlefield of the 19th century. As the city expanded at a rate never before seen in human history, it broke all previous records of urban density, leading to the first public health acts, municipal water systems, and urban planning laws, in a desperate attempt to curb the devastating spread of cholera and typhus that haunted the narrow courts and alleys. As we look at the Manchester of 2026, its old red brick mills now converted into sleek luxury apartments, creative studios, and high-tech hubs, we realize that this city was the first laboratory of the modern world, a place that sacrificed beauty, health, and comfort